Vanakkam and hello. Welcome to Imagination. I'm quite sure you're aware of the art what you are going to draw today. And I'm here just drawing a rough diagram and my model is going to face straight. If you are drawing a drawing where your model is going to face side faced, then your proportion will be changing. But for me there is nothing such thing. Everything is going to be symmetric. So the things you have to remember is the distance between the eyes, the distance between the eyes and eyebrow, what is the expression you like to show, like sadness or happiness or confused, that you need to show. When your rough work is good, then automatically your actual diagram is going to look good. And next I'm going to paint. So I just took an expired foundation for face, which is quite easy way to match the skin tone. If you have any paint, you can directly paint it, or even you can mix match the skin tone. And now for shading, I took one color like we used to take the foundation, and I'm applying this as a base on the full face. The thing to be remembering is I ignored the eyes. So you need to ignore the eyes and apply the color throughout the face. And while shading, the thing you have to remember is you can't shade however you like. You have to shade like you are applying a moisturizer on the face. For better understanding, I will be providing you an arrow mark like a guidance. You can follow this arrow marks. When you are applying the paint in this way, your painting is going to sound more like a face. If you see, the rough work of the eyebrows is vanished, so we can't see the eyebrows way. So I'm just drawing another rough work over the diagram. By using normal pencil, I'm just drawing the outline, and by using a color pencil, only one color, that is the black color, by using that I'm drawing the eyebrow stroke. My model is actually sad and she's crying. That's why the eyebrows what I'm drawing is kind of slanted, it's bended downwards. If the model is happy, then the eyebrow shape is going to change. So eyebrows is the only way where the expression is being expressed. So make sure you're not messing up here. If you're messing up here, your drawing is going to get messed up. Now I'm taking a darker shade to show the depthness of the face. So if you're wondering how many colors you need to paint a face, it's not that difficult. If you have 2 to 3 colors, that's enough. So what are the colors you need is, one compulsory for the base, for whole face, and the second color is also compulsory, that is the darker shade to show the depthness. And third shade, that is not so compulsory. If you have, you can use that. If you don't have, you can actually skip. That is the lighter shade, something like a concealer to highlight. And if you see here, I do have the lighter shade like a concealer to highlight, but still I'm going to skip it, and I'm just going to use an water based white color like an highlighter. So if you're not having any concealer shade, you can use a white water based color as an highlighter, and it's going to work like a magic. If you see here, I'm just trying to give the depth of the nose, more like a shadow of the nose. It's because at the beginning of the art, when I was painting, I just planned that my model is going to look sideways. So I tried to show the shadow of the nose. But now I'm not happy with the process. I'm not happy with the way it's coming out. So I need to fix this mess. My form of art is more like this. I never pre-plan my art. I just go with the flow. So when we are going with the flow, definitely the mess is going to happen and we need to correct this mess. So if I have been used a normal paint, it will be very difficult for me to correct that mess. But what I'm using right now is actually an creamy foundation. If you just rub it with your bare finger, it's just going to disappear. You can see here and you can't tell there was a mess here. That's a benefit of using this one. I'm not recommending you to use this one. I'm just telling why I'm using this one. And now I'm just giving a different form of nose. And now for eyes, if you see, by using black color pencil I drew the outline, and for the white part of the eyes I'm not using direct white color, I'm using light sky blue, a mild dose. It's because if we are using direct white color it might sound like an artificial painting, so to look it more realistic I'm using a mild dose of sky blue. And other thing what I observed is, while drawing the outline of the eyes, the black color is not popping out. But I need this black color to be way deeper at the middle of the eyes to show the pupil, the focus of the eyes. That color should be way deeper. But this color is not popping out, you can see here. To make it pop out, what I need to do? If you see, by using the same color pencil, I drew the eyebrow. And that color is actually popping out. How come? It's because I drew it over the layer of foundation. Over the base, I drew the eyebrow. So that's why it's shining. So to make the focus of the eyes pop out, I am using a little amount of concealer or the foundation shade what I used in the base. I'm just pointing them in the middle of the eyes, and now over that I'm shading with the same black pencil, and now you will be seeing the result. It will show the depth of the eyes. And now for the hairs, if you see, first we need to apply the base. We were using the watercolor, from that I'm taking the black color. And while applying, you need to observe one thing, where the light is hitting and where the shadow zone. In my picture, the left side is the light zone and the right side is the shadow zone. So left side of the portrait will be light black color, the hairs will be in the light black color, and right side of the portrait is a shadow zone, will be dark black color. And above the base, by using a black color pencil, I started to give the strokes of the hairs. But I was expecting the hairs to have more structure, more detailing, but it was not up to my expectation. When I'm not getting the depth of the color, you know what to do? You have to use the concealer or the foundation what we used as a base, and one layer of base. Above that, if you are using this color pencil, the color is going to pop out and it's going to give more depth, and we are going to do that. And while doing that, I faced one problem, that is, I gave a watercolor glaze as a first layer, and above that I'm applying this concealer. So this concealer is not getting settled down, it's more like an cakey, it's settling over the color, it's not absorbing in the paper. So I was facing a problem in that. So I just blended it fully, and then I was thinking what to do. So I didn't waste much time here, I just went with further steps, and later we will be trying to fix this mess. Now coming back to the hair, I just used a normal pencil instead of a color pencil just to see what's the difference, but now this result was way good. I liked the progress, so I went with it. For the rest part of the hair, I applied a thin layer of the concealer. Upon that, I ran out with the normal pencil, and we can see the depth and textures of the hair, and I'm quite happy with this result. Talking about that, I have already informed you, if you don't have a concealer shade, that's not a problem. It's because we can use watercolor, that is white color, as a highlighter, and I'm going to show here. First, I just applied a layer of white color, and after applying it, what did I do? I didn't leave it to dry. I just ran over that. I just dabbed it. It's because I don't want white color to shine there. I want that spot to shine. So when I dab it, the color gets blended with the base, and then a shine occurs there. That is what I'm doing here. By using pencil, I was trying to show the depth of the image, and then I was wondering where the mess is, and it happened here. I was not supposed to draw that line under the eyes, and I don't like it. Now I need to correct it. To correct this mess, I have two options. One is to remove it, and other is to cover it. Like the previous one, I can't remove it, so I need to cover it. So I'm using a deeper tone to show the depth. I'm covering it over it, and I guess I kind of managed it. So as a final touch, I gave the bindi, and after giving that, I ran to my mom to show the image, to ask her review. And after looking for nearly 20 minutes, she told me, you are missing an important part, that is the nose. She is looking like an Voldemort without the nose, and she told me to give more hairs little bit at the side of the face. And after adding that, this is my final image. Time to leave, and it's imagination.